Hi everyone, I'm Justine, I'm chair of the Fix LoA Action Group, and today I'm talking to Nick Green of Criterion, and we're going to discuss the new LoA data checklist standard that we're trying to get feedback on, and I think we're doing pretty well. I mean, how many bits of feedback have we got, Nick?
So far we've had 60 or 70 different firms register to access the checklist. We're starting to get feedback in from some of them, but absolutely more is more. We're looking to get as broad an industry view of how closely the checklist maps onto industry consensus around what good LoA practice looks like.
So it's advisors, power planners, administrators, tech vendors, product providers, platforms, anyone can feed in, which is great.
Anyone who has a stake in the LoA process, absolutely.
Okay. And what's the point of it? I think that we've had a couple of challenges on how do we use this data checklist standard. So can you explain how someone would use it?
Yeah, so the checklist has two real use cases. The first one is effectively as a benchmark for advisors to use when receiving and interpreting LoA responses from product providers, platforms, and so on. Does it have the data that they need in the response? And it also enables them to capture the actual responses against those data items. So it's a sort of a practical helpmeet to that extent. But more generally, and sort of the underlying and long-term objective here is to drive industry discussion and consensus around what good LoA practice looks like. Criterion developed some data integration standards 3 or 4 years ago for letter of authority processes. We worked with a group of about 9 organisations, product providers, advisors, technology firms. What we wanted to do, though, having engaged with the Fix LoA Action Group, is share the data catalogue from those integration standards in a form that's easier for a broader cross-section of the industry to engage with. So absolutely, as you say, advisors, power planners, compliance experts, product providers, technology firms, all can share a view, form a view, and share it on whether the data content in the checklist hits the spot. Does that represent what good LoA outcomes look like? And if it doesn't, well, it's great to understand that too, because we can use that feedback to refine the checklist, and as I say, use it as a way to steer towards a broad industry consensus on what good LoA practice looks like.
Yep, so it's driving a standard response back, which will then drive the business case for technology to enable the response in a more standard way, in a more efficient way, and more timely. So I think that's what we're ultimately driving towards with the LoA data checklist standard.
Exactly so. So if we can form a broad industry consensus around what good looks like, that provides everyone with a nice clear target that they can use to steer their own contribution to the LoA process towards. And once we've got that consistency, it's much easier to make a case for automation and ultimately integration, which cuts out costs and errors and delays.
Well, I think it's been good because I've already had conversations with a couple of tech firms who have already taken the standard, downloaded, and are starting to use it in a development plan. So I think that's a really, really good start. That's good positive news. We've got feedback coming in, and we want more feedback. So next steps?
Next steps for organisations that want to get involved in the discussion, firstly come to the Criterion website, register to access the checklist. It's free of charge for almost everyone in the industry. And once you've had an opportunity to consume the checklist, review it, understand it, map it against what's important for you in the LoA process, then share that feedback. Criterion will be running a feedback session where we'll invite anyone with a stake in the LoA checklist to share views on it. As I say, with the intention of driving that industry discussion around what good looks like, using that to refine the checklist so it's a clearer and sharper target for organisations to hit. Also, to use the experience of the checklist in its current form, which addresses DC pensions, use feedback from that experience to bring forward comparable checklists for protection products and other investment products as well. So when we bring those forward, they're closer to the mark right from the get-go.
Yep. So we're going to have a meeting where we can go through the feedback, and then at the next Fix LoA Action Group meeting, which is the 14th of May, we would then be able to present this back and say, look, this is what we presented, this is what we changed, and this is how it's going to look. And then our next steps will be the other products types, and then I think it's the challenge of adoption.
Absolutely. Adoption is the end goal here. The current LoA process is set of processes are slow, they're inconsistent, they're heavily manual, and the overarching purpose for Criterion here, and individually and also as part of the Fix LoA Action Group, is to drive industry improvement in those processes, take out costs, take out delays, take out errors. And ultimately, that requires adoption of industry consensus around good practice by everyone involved, advisors, paraplanners, providers as well. Everyone has the opportunity to fine-tune, to refine their own LoA processes so that we get to that point where the negative aspects that have bedeviled LoAs for decades are finally addressed.
I hope so. So I think it's great that within, 6 months of Fix LoA Action Group that we've been able to get your support, Criterion's help on sorting out a human readable standard, and I'm interested to see what will happen next. And I think that's us really on the data LoA checklist. Thank you, Nick.